Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? That is a question not easily answered by most of us. Where are you from? Can you answer that in one word? My parents are both Mexican, immigrating here to the United States from their home country, Mexico. I was born in the United States, growing up practicing Mexican traditions. For my first 4 years, I spoke Spanish with my family. But then I went to school, and then I had to learn English. For me, it wasn't easy to answer that question. Where are you from? I know I'm not from Mexico, but I don't feel like I'm from here. No soy de aquí, ni de allá. Growing up in a Mexican immigrant household meant that my first language was Spanish. I didn't learn English until kindergarten. That switch to English wasn't relatively easy, but I eventually managed to become fluent in both languages. Even then, expressing myself was sometimes a struggle. Learning English wasn't the hardest part of the experience. Rather, it was everything else that came in between, mispronouncing words or pronouncing them how you would in Spanish. When I was younger, it was embarrassing. I would avoid speaking Spanish with everyone I could except my parents. I wanted the outside world to see the American side of me first. If only I could go back and tell my younger self that there was nothing to be ashamed of. English was and will always be a method of communication, but Spanish will always be my first language, the language that means affection and home. El español fue mi primer idioma y siempre lo hablaré. Language wasn't the only obstacle for me. There were other cultural differences. Latinos have different values and beliefs than those here in the US. I grew up celebrating different holidays and honoring my culture's unique traditions, which stand out against the American lifestyle. Whenever I visit Mexico, I met with the culture shock of another country. Even though I can identify myself within the culture, it has a completely different way of functioning. If only I could go back and tell my younger self that I'll never be Mexican enough or American enough, that I don't have to fit in a specific societal box. Sé la persona que tú eres, no la persona que otros quieren que seas. This is something that troubles not only me, but other bicultural people who often try to conceal their identity in order to fit in with others. Now, in the 21st century, we encourage diversity more than ever, but there are still barriers we draw between us, dividing ourselves into certain groups and expectations. Society today emphasizes a certain lifestyle in which everyone feels the need to look and talk a certain way. However, we don't need to change in order to fit in anywhere. As people living between two different worlds, we're exposed to different experiences, leading us to have different behaviors, mindsets, likes, and dislikes, all which don't necessarily have to fit into one culture. We don't have to change in order to fit in anywhere. Not here, not there. It is important that we recognize what makes us different, what leads us to do different things, speak different languages, have different behaviors, have different values. We are bound to be unique, picking up different pieces in order to build who we are. To have traits from both worlds is what should empower us, not bring us down. Let's break the standards we have created for others and ourselves and let go. Hay que empezar a construir puentes y caminos en vez de levantar barreras. If only I could go back and tell my younger self that we will always have that space in between to take up.